Hello everyone, this is Devin Adams. Welcome back to my next video in our NSC4 test lab building in GNS3. I cannot talk. Alright, anyways guys, the last video that we did, we upgraded the pfSense. Now, I kind of labeled that as like an 8.0 because remember how I said I was going to put in the point whatever if they're like sub videos or bonus videos. So I don't know if you need to upgrade it or if you want to upgrade it. I'm pretty sure it will work just fine using the out of the box 2.3.5, but it was still bugging me. So if you didn't watch that video, that's where we left off. Um, and even if you didn't upgrade it, you'll still get to a prompt once you power on the pfSense that looks like this. Now, we can do a lot of our configuration through this CLI, but it does have a nice GUI. So, but before we can start using the GUI, we actually need a operating system that has a graphical user interface. So that's what brings us to our objectives in this video. So in this video, we are going to power on our local FortiGate, our switch, and also our management PC. Okay, and we are going to configure at least enough to get back to this pfSense. All right. Now I know that I had that in a different objective. That's fine. We're just going to combine it because honestly, I'm going to have a separate video of trying to get the pfSense to work the way that I want it to. Why? Because I just don't have that much experience with pfSense other than just some basic configurations, and it might take me some fumbling. That video just might be a disaster. So anyways, so but right away, there is something that we can do through the CLI. So let's just get started. So remember, it's going to take a bit for these things to power up. So I'm just going to right-click my management PC and hit OK. This is the Windows 7 that we imported in earlier and fired up, and also our local FortiGate, which also was brought into GNS3 in an earlier video. And then also our switch, our Open switch needs to be turned on. Unlike these little simulator network Ethernet switches, the Open switches actually have to be powered up. So, and it's going to take quite a bit of our CPU utilization when it starts. But guess what? That don't matter because we're just going to be dinking around in the CLI while that's all running in the background. So now we are going to use IP addresses here, and I was kind of explaining this in the earlier video. So out of the box, the first interface on pfSense is always the WAN, and this is just unconfigured, just if you plug and play. It's always the WAN interface, and also it's going to get the uplink using DHCP. So that was from the NATed cloud. Pretty neat, huh? So it's configured a default gateway for me behind the scenes. It's an IP address, so on and so forth. But on the first interface, the LAN, it does not use DHCP, and it uses 192.168.1.1. So our first port here is going to be that IP address here. Now, in class, we use the subnet of 10.200, and we mentioned that if you ever saw 10.200, we're going to pretend like that's a public IP address, and that's exactly what we're doing here. We're going to have a pfSense have their physical connections in 10.200 different subnets here to simulate like a little pseudo WAN cloud, right? So I'm going to follow that naming convention, all right? So if none of this kind of makes sense, or if you didn't take one of my classes, just roll with it for right now. It will all come together, I promise you. All right, so the first basic configuration that I'm going to do is I am going to select option 2 and use the IP address that I'm actually going to use in my topology, not the one that comes out of the box from the pfSense. All right, so, and the goal here is to eventually get to the GUI and the web GUI of this pfSense box by this IP address. So we're going to select option 2. It's going to ask me which one am I configuring. It's going to be 2. It's going to say, okay, enter the new LAN IP address. All right, it's going to be 10.200.1.254. So our goal here, by the way, is to make that the default gateway for our WAN interface on our local FortiGate. All right, we're going to hit enter. The subnet mask is going to be 24. All right, and I did that, by the way, in case I want to throw a switch in there, maybe get some other devices. It gives us rooms for options instead of just giving it like a slash, slash 30 or something like that. So, all right, what else do we got here? For WAN, enter the new nope, it's a LAN, so we're just going to hit OK. IP6, we're not going to do IP6 now. Now it's asking us if we want to enable a DHCP server on LAN. I'm actually going to hit yes, and the reason why is, once again, it'll give us options later on in case we want to throw something in between the FortiGates and the WAN connection. You didn't see my little claw quotation marks there. Anyways, I'll just go ahead and I'll put the range somewhere out there. So .200, .1, maybe, I don't know, 100, right? And then the end, we'll actually do a pretty limited scope here. And I'll just do 125. So that way I can statically assign addresses above and below that and not interrupt what I want to do. So there we go. Do you want to revert to HTTP? Yes. And that is it. That should be okay. All right, and now it's telling me that I can go to a web browser, navigate to 10.200.1.254, and I should be able to access pfSense. That is great. So that is actually where we're going to stop with our pfSense for this video. All right, so I'm actually going to have to break up the second objective into a later video, simply because we need to configure the down traffic here. So let's go ahead and start with our local FortiGate, and everything that I'm doing here is done in the basic NSC4 lab videos. I'm just doing it here for completeness, but this should be nothing new. So here's my FortiGate booted up for the first time. Remember, once you load it up, you got 14 days to use it until you have to license it. All right, so admin, no password, and then I'm going to do a config sys interface. All right, and this does qualify for objective 3, by the way. We're setting up the local FortiGate, and then we're going to do a edit port 1, do a little show there, and I'm going to set the IP to 10.200.1.1 with a slash 24. And I'll just leave it like that. So, well, you know what? Yeah, I'll just leave it at that for right now, because if I'm on the remote side in this lab environment, maybe I want to access that FortiGate from the WAN port, even though normally we wouldn't do that. We'll just roll with it for right now. So let's go ahead and type in next. That will bring us back one level. And I'm going to config next port, oops, sorry, not config, edit port 3. I'll do a show there. And this is our WAN interface. Now remember, in GNS3, if you want to see those ports, I think it looks too congested, leaving them on all the time. Look at that. Ugh, nasty. But as you can see, port 3 is right there. Port 1, port 2. Then we have the different interfaces there, right? So on and so forth. All right, so we're configuring the port 3 here. Okay. Da-da-da. Sorry. Oh, see, I'm so compulsive about this stuff. All right, so there we go. Now we have to configure this side so management can talk to it. So here we are. So we're going to do a set IP to 10.0.1.254/24, and this will be the default gateway for our LAN traffic. And then set allow access to ping, HTTP, HTTPS, Telnet, and SSH. Now, in real life, we wouldn't use insecure protocols like HTTP or Telnet, but because it's a lab, that's fine, especially during the configuration stages. All right, and then we do an end, and guess what? That is all I need to get to the GUI of the FortiGates and also the GUI to the pfSense. Maybe. All right, so there's still the firewall policies that we have to do, so on and so forth, the default gateways, but we'll do those right now. So let's go ahead, and now that the local FortiGate is taken care of, and I'm going to turn off those labels, let's go into our management PC, and as you can see, it has booted up. And this also falls into the category of setting up the management PC. So I'm going to take a fiver here. In other words, let's take a break from what we were doing before and let's just optimize this machine for use. All right, so there's a few things that you can do to these virtual machines in GNS3, especially these Windows ones, that will make them run a little bit smoother. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. For starters, I don't like looking at this background. Now, this background might auto-populate whenever it reboots. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't want to look at it. And on top of that, that resolution is awfully small. So let's fix those things. So I'm going to go to screen resolution first. I'm just going to crank it up a little bit. That way I can see more of what I'm doing. All right. See? A little bit better, right? A little bit better. And then also, if we go back to appearance and personalization, I don't want to look at their little, hey, this is how you use this machine. So I am going to change the desktop background. And you can put your own branding in there if you want, or what have you. In fact, let's go ahead and hit save. Maybe it's underneath change the theme. Here we go, desktop background. What I want here is, oh, there it is. Solid colors. I'm just going to do black. All right. See, ta-da, looks a little bit better. So, and then the next thing I'm going to do, I don't even want to know what's in here. Oh, the license agreement. I'm going to come down here to my start menu. Now, this is Windows 7. It's the same way on Windows 8 and also Windows 10. You right click and also the server, now that I think about it. Hit properties. All right. As you can see, we gave it 1 gig of RAM. It's 32 bits. Blah, 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 blah. All right. But I'm going to go to my advanced system settings. And I'm going to go to advanced, performance, go to settings, and turn off all of the graphical stuff. All right, so adjust for best performance. So it's going to take off some of the shading, the graphics processing, and it will actually smooth up the experience quite a bit. All right, quite a bit. Look, it even took out my black background and did blue. That's fine. Whatever. Okay. Okay, great. There you go. It's now quote-unquote optimized. So let's get back to our normal scheduled program. And let's right-click here, open up our network and settings. And this guy, all right, we're going to have to temporarily give him an IP address. Now, we'll eventually put DHCP on here. We might have to do that for a later lesson, but for right now, let's just do a 10.0.1.25, all right? 255, 255, 255, and 10.0.1.254, which is our FortiGates. And I really don't care what I put for DNS, just because we don't even have the firewall policy to get out to DNS, all right? But if everything is right with the world, yep, you should get this prompt here. We're going to select network so we don't have to fight all those. Create a home group. So here we go. And yeah, we should be good to go there. So I'll just do one final confirmation. Okay, yep, packets are flowing. And now we can actually get to the GUI of our FortiGate. So let's do it. So remember, our goal here, guys, is to configure enough to get to that pfSense web interface. All right. So, all right, so nothing's going to happen to begin with because, you know, can't get out to the internet. So we're going to go to 10.0.1.254. Oh, look at that beautiful FortiGate. All right, going to log in with admin, no password. And yeah, so let's go ahead and take a moment here and do this right, okay? So, in other words, let's go ahead and just, you know, configure this thing. So to the point where we're going to use it in our production network. All right. And we'll still add some tweaks here later on, but to begin with, you gotta change that host name. Okay, so I'm gonna change that bad boy to something like I don't know, Local FortiGate. Perfect. All right, much better. Okay. And yes, one of the unfortunates about this licensing agreement, it pops up all the time. Some of the pain you have to put up with. Okay. And as you can see, we have our firmware version, blah, 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 blah. But also the system time, though. Okay. You want to make sure that your system time, right, matches somewhat with the time zone that you're in. So there's nothing really that I can do there at this point. Why? Because I need to connect it to the internet so it can get to the NTP server. And right now it's not. So so let's go ahead and do that real quickly. Let's go to our network and go to interfaces. All right. So there's the IP address that we set before. It drives me nuts, by the way. I'm going to double click port 1. When people do not give aliases to their interfaces. So I'm going to call this WAN 1. All right. And yep, that is fine. But more importantly, I'm going to go to port 3. All right, I'm going to call this LAN. And you can actually define the roles. And what does the roles do? They hide options that are not relative. So you can't make a configuration error, or at least make it harder. So, but here I'm going to turn on the DHCP server. So when I put in future devices, you can at least get an IP address out. I am going to change that scope though. It's a little too big. I doubt it will ever have more than a handful of devices here. So there you go. All right, and we're going to come back and tweak this a little bit later on. And I'm also going to turn on device detection from the get-go. All right, so that way I can identify what types of devices are being plugged into that open vSwitch or onto my LAN switch. So I'm going to hit OK. All right, so there you go. Just a little, cleaning it up a bit. And then the next thing I'm going to want to do is go to my static routes and tell the FortiGate how to leave. So no biggie there. Static routes, network static routes, create new. And I'm going to say, hey, when you don't know where to go, buddy, I want you to pop out of port 1, and I want you to go to 10.200.1.254, right? And what's nice about this is now it knows how to leave and get to the internet, and that is the pfSense device there. So are we done yet? Well, no. I mean, it's fine, but we still need a firewall policy. So let's make one real quickly. Not very secure, but it will do for our base configuration here. And let's create a new one here that just says, internet access, right? So internet access. Our incoming is going to be LAN. See how nice it is to name those things? WAN, source. Now, once again, we should be doing best practices even in our practice lab. So I'm going to hit the little plus button over here and create a new address. And I'm going to call this local LAN traffic or something like that, right? And then it's going to be 10.0.1.1. Actually, you know what? I'll just use the full subnet. It's not a bad idea. So, all right. And I'll leave any interface. I'll just do any. It'll give us more flexibility later on. But also, for some reason, if I want to use that in a static route configuration, this will have the object appear on the static routing table. So, or the static routing configuration page. So that's kind of neat. So I'll hit OK. And now for our source, we can make sure only IP addresses come in from that range. Now the internet is a big place, right? So I'll just keep that to all. Services, once again, I'll keep that for all. In reality, I'd probably want to be a little more granular, but that's all right. Natting, of course, it's going out to the internet. And All right, even though we don't have any logging turned on, I'm going to hit OK. And that should be it. So in theory, I should be able to get out to the internet. Are you guys nervous? I'm nervous. Okay. Let's take a look. So here we go. Ping google.com. Oh, look at that, guys. Look at that. Got it. Got it. Not too shabby. So there you guys go. We just set up our basic configuration from here to there. All right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get to that pfSense website, and that will actually wrap up our objective here. Look at that, page not found. That's awesome. So anyone remember what that IP address was? 10 dot. Like you guys can answer back, Devin. It's okay. Anyways, ta-da! There you guys go. There is pfSense. Once again, I know how to use this thing. Maybe a 0.5% of its full capabilities. But if I remember right, it is going to be admin. And the default login is pfSense. All right, sweet. And it will guide you through a wizard here. Now I'm going to do something horrible and just click the icon up here at the top to skip that. All right, no commercial distribution. Well, good thing we're not using it commercially. All right, there we go. I mean, this thing has dashboards. It just does so much. So I highly encourage you guys, all right, once you get to this point, okay, to actually play with pfSense, see what it's capable of doing. Now, I got to keep these videos short or no one's ever going to watch them ever, including my people that I'm recording it for. So like I said, guys, I purposely have you see me flop through this crap so we can learn together, okay? So because nothing is more frustrating than you trying to do something in a YouTube video and it all magically works for the person recording it, and you're like, well, hey, it broke here, it broke there, all right? So let's go ahead and get those other interfaces up, all right? That should be our goal, because right now we're just seeing WAN and LAN, okay? But we know that there are several more interfaces tied in there. So let me go ahead and hit the X here, and there is a little, looks like it's just for the dashboard. All right, so let's go up to interfaces, and let's go to assignments. That was pretty intuitive. And look at this, we have available ports. You guys see that? They're just not enabled. So I'm going to hit add. And I'm going to hit add. And I'm going to hit add. Okay, so LAN is going to be that first interface. Let me hit save. Now here's the thing that I've noticed about pfSense. Now it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've used it. But hitting save here is what you have to remember. Because if you start clicking out of it and all that jazz, it'll get you. So let me go ahead and go to opt1. All right, IP configuration is going to be static. All right, and let's see here. And I'm going to do a 10.200.2.254. All right, and it's going to be a /24. And that is going to be our first redundant WAN connection. Let me get back to GNS3 here. So our WAN 2 that's going to be on this local FortiGate that we'll do a little bit later on. So all right, there we go. So let's go ahead and hit save. Apply changes. Ooh, look at that. See? Stuff like that, guys. ARG. Enable the interface. See how important that was? Oops. All right, here we go. That could have been really bad if I didn't catch that. So, and once again, things are a little bit, okay, I clicked it too many times. Things are going to be a little bit laggy just because, you know what? Just because what you call it. I'm running all of this off of my laptop, so, and I'm going to call this actually WAN 2. I'm going to try to keep the naming conventions here relative to what I'm naming them on the FortiGates. So, so let me go ahead and do that real quick with the LAN. Now I know that I'm calling this WAN 1 because it's going to be our local WAN 1 that we're make-believing, all right, as our WAN connection. Then let's go to here, and we'll go to, don't forget to enable it, and we'll call this thing WAN 3. IP configuration will be static, and it will be 10.200.3.254. All right, give it a /24. And this is going to be the primary WAN connection on our remote FortiGate. All right, so here we are. All right, apply changes. Then let's go up to our interface, go to enable interface, WAN 4, which is going to be the redundant WAN connection on our remote FortiGate. We'll do static IP4. See how nice this is though? Oh man, we're so going to play around with this. It's going to be awesome. All right, so 254. Okay. /4. There we go. And hit save. All right. Great. That is awesome. Now, guys, I'm going to be very honest with you. There's more to it than this. There's still firewall rules. There's still natting rules that we might have to do. And that's where I'm kind of in the dark about what to actually get this thing to just start routing. In the past, I turned off all the firewall features, and I don't want that. I want at least a barrier between my WAN to the internet. So I'm just going to take a couple of seconds here to poke around. If I can't find what I'm looking for, though, I might stop the video there because we do have enough to really go forward here. But let's go to firewall real quickly, and let's do our rules. All right, so our LAN, so we have a, all right, let's see here. We have a all port 80. This is our anti-lockout, meaning no matter what we configure, we can still get access. All right, so, and then also we have a default allowed to any rule to get internet access. All right, and then IP6 we're not really using. So let's see here. See, exactly. There's no rules for our WAN 2. All right, so we're going to want to add that. And we're going to say pass. All right, interface WAN 2. All right, source any. That's fine. Destination any. All right. Do we have a must match the rule? I'm trying to look for choose the interface from which packets must come to match this rule. Okay, WAN 2. Pass. I'm trying to look for the destination. Oh wow. Okay, so it's literally just doing an any. So, okay, that's fine. All right. Maybe that's all. I didn't think it would be that easy. We'll see if it works though. Because that's you know, we're really not focused on the pseudo WAN connection here. That's exactly what we did with the Linux box, right? We just did this allow all routing, so on and so forth. We're gonna have to test that though. Here we go. Okay, let's go ahead and add. We'll say pass WAN 3. Is that still just an any? All right. And like I said, I might have to do some research if this doesn't work right off of the bat. There's going to be a real easy way that we can test it too. So, all right, here we go. Let me make sure those rules stuck. Now this is saying source, destination all. If we look here, we're even going even further. We're just saying, you know what? Just let the traffic pass. Just let it go. So I just realized the protocol here should have really been ini. Oops. See what I'm talking about? Yeah. My bad. So I'm going to have to redo all of those. That way, you know, TCP traffic, or not TCP, ICMP or UDP wouldn't have made it out. All right, here we go. Any destination, any source, any. These are such horrible firewall rules in reality, but that's okay. All right, so because it's a test environment, right, guys? All right, here we go. And like I said, this is supposed to be someone else's cloud. You know what I mean? We just want it to get it to one side of the internet to another. Our make-believe internet. Look how cool that is. See the rule information changing history. Anyways, all right, cool. Okay, guys. Now, all right. So this is blocking. Not reserved by IANA. Sure. Even though that might get us into trouble. No, it shouldn't. We pinged out to google.com. So how we're going to test this thing, though, is that in theory, we should now be able to get out to this interface here and ping it. So let's go ahead and test that. And if we can ping 10.200.3.254, we should be good. We should be good. So we'll see, though. All right. So let me go to my command prompt here. I'll do a little CMD. And we'll actually take it by hops here. So let's go ahead and ping 10.200.1.254. All right. So there is the WAN interface to pfSense. Here's the real challenge, though. Can it get to one of those interfaces? And it can. We did it. I did not think, honestly, guys, I fumbled through that. I totally just loaded it up and rolled with it. I did not think I'd get it all on my first try. So once we enabled the interfaces, gave it the IP addresses, okay, and then did the firewall rules saying just, you know what, just let it go, you know. If we can reach it from here, I'm pretty sure we can reach the other side of the FortiGate. In fact, let's keep on rolling with it. All right, let's go ahead and configure the remote firewall just to see if we can't ping out to it. Because you know what, we're on a roll, even though this is going a little bit longer than I wanted it to. So just real quickly, let me power on my remote FortiGate. I'm going to give its port 1 the IP address of 10.200.1 or 3.1. And it should be able to reach out there. So let's take a look. Actually, I lied. It's not, because of reverse path forwarding check. We'd have to set also a default gateway, so we would know where the source IP addresses were coming from. That's not a big deal, though. So here we go. Admin, config sys interface. We're going to edit port 1. We'll do a show real quick. All right. And we're going to set the IP address of 10.200.3.1 with a /24. All right. Then we'll hit an end to commit. And then we'll go ahead and ping to make sure we can get to the other side. Oh, that's awesome. La! You know what? I thought it was going to be a lot more challenging than that to get the pfSense to work as a little hub. I guess not. So, but let's go ahead and you don't really need to do this, but well, I guess we do. We could always configure the remote side exactly how we configure the local side by turning up a local Windows machine and just working our way backwards. But let's go ahead and do a config system, or is it config routes? Config routes static. All right, we'll do a show. See how there's nothing there. Edit 1, and then we are going to set our destination as our quad 0. All right, so I'm telling the remote FortiGate how to leave. We're going to set our gateway to 10.200.3.254. All right. And then we're going to set our device as port 1. So the reason why I'm doing this is because if I didn't, the FortiGate would see an IP address coming from something like 10.200.1.1, which is NATed from our other interface, and it'll be like, you know what? I have no idea where that thing came from, because all I know on port 1, right, is what I'm physically connected to, and that's the 10.200.3 network. And it's going to drop it because of reverse path forwarding check. But because we put the quad 0 in there, right, we can now essentially ping out to it, in theory. So, in fact, let's see if the internet works. Oh, I love it. I love it. Let's see if the internet works. I just wanted to make sure the pfSense was doing its job. I still cannot believe how easy that was. So, oh, that's awesome. So let's just do one final check, then we'll end this video because it's taking way too long. And let's ping that FortiGate. And there it is, guys. So check that out. We got connectivity across the board. So when we get back, our next video, all right? And I was going to do these video series, by the way, in the course of a week or two. I didn't think I'd get all excited and record them all back to back. But when I get back to the next video, hopefully today, I'm going to continue on with configuring our FortiGates on both sides, our management PCs, and we can also do some tweaking there with our endpoint devices. So things like, configuring the domain controller, not the domain controller, but the server itself, and just keep on tweaking it. But guys, I promise you, the hard part is over. This is it. You got yourselves a GNS3 NSE4 test lab. All right, so let's keep on keeping on though. Thank you for watching, if anyone watches this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. If I can find my stop button.